The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
I'm a big fish in a small pond. Got my days free and the nights long. I create my own reality. Who I am is fine with me. As famous as I wanna be. Who I am is fine with me. To I am, to I am. Who I am is fine with me.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Hi, everybody. My name is Maria. This is What's the Story with Maria. We want to welcome you. We are on a brand new format now. It's called StreamYard. And first, I want to thank Jim Bell. He's our producer and engineer at Armed Radio. And he makes sure that we are streaming live on armeddigitalmedia.com, armradioglobal.com every Tuesday at 9 p.m. So I want to thank Jim Bell. He's amazing, and he's been doing that for 3 years. And where would I be without Jim Bell? I shudder to think. So thank you, Jimmy. We want to thank you first and foremost. I want to thank Joe Rocks. He is the big cheese at Armed Radio, which is our mothership. Okay, so if you tune in app, you can type in Armed Radio, and we pop right up every Tuesday at 9. Also, come hell or high water, we're streaming live on Facebook. At usually it's around between 9:03 and 9:05. Usually we come on. Now, I want to thank and let you know about. He started off as our accidental intern. He graduated to accidental assistant, and he has been promoted to accidental stage manager. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Leo Rodriguez. Where is he? There he is, Leo. Leo Rodriguez. That's right. Thank you, Leo. Leo is running the show back there. He's letting people in and out of the backstage and putting all the banners up and just running everything. I would never, ever, ever be able to do this by myself. It's impossible. So thanks to Jim and thanks to Leo, I could do this. Now, tonight I'm very excited to let you know that, okay, so last week, Thursday, was Veterans Day. I am one of those people, I'm very patriotic. I love my country, and I take it very seriously. And it was Veterans Day, and I just was sad because it was just kind of swallowed up in a wash of other stuff that was happening on the news. And I thought, you know what? I really want to honor our vets, and I want to do it in the best possible way. And I thought of the 3 people that popped into my mind right away. And they're going to be our guests tonight on the show, so we're going to call them in a little while. Now, I do want to put out there that a special shout out to my niece, Leah. She is in the Air Force. She is stationed in California, in San Diego, California, and she will be going to Japan. Now, I was talking to Pete earlier, and he asked me what part of Japan, and I don't know, but I will find out. But I'm extremely proud of her, and I'm beaming with. So she is in the Air Force, and she's representing that branch of the military. And Leo, you want to pop in for a second? So yeah, our friend Leo Rodriguez is going to pop back in, and I want to tell you that Leo's dad was also in the Army, right?
Yes, he was. And I'm going to pull that proof up in a second.
Okay, so Leo's dad was in the Army, and you have a picture?
I believe so.
Okay.
Take
your time. Okay, great. So we're bringing all these wonderful people in. I just love all this stuff. It's so nostalgic and amazing.
No, that was Lina's dad.
Oh, that's Lina's dad. Okay, that's all right. Well, there's a lot going on back there. So anyway, Leo, your dad was in Vietnam, right?
Yes, he was in Vietnam. Okay. And I have a picture of him going on the ship where they carried him over, if I can.
Yeah, and you can always pull it up later if you want. It's not a big deal, honey. I didn't even tell you. I didn't mean to put pressure on you.
Pressure!
I just wanted to, everybody's getting represented tonight, so we want to make sure that we share that. Also, let me look at who has joined us so far. We have Catherine Savio's joined us, Hello, Catherine. She's in Florida. Mandar Chick Magnet has joined us. Mandar, oh, you're going away tomorrow, not today. Okay. Cynthia Miguel is watching us. Is that your dad?
No.
Okay, we'll figure it out later.
Okay, we'll figure it out later.
We'll get it later. Okay, so a lot of our friends are joining us now, and we're very happy you're here. As I said, it's going to be running on the What's the Story with Maria page, and we share it to Maria. Now, let me do this and get it out of the way. Okay, so we have merchandise, and I'm not going to talk about it again, but we have Christmas is around the corner. And if you want to get some swag for your family and friends, the cup is $10. On the back, go ahead, keep eating. $10. As is our tote bag. Right now, plastic has been banned in New York, so they're just giving. Oh my God, Leo, look at you. So,
always ready.
What's the Story with Maria tote bag? On the back, it says, "Go ahead, keep eating." That's also 10. What the hell can you get for $10? I always say half a lap dance, one leg.
What?
One leg, and that's before the tip.
That's a small leg.
And then, of course, our piece de resistance, the blue apron. The Go Ahead, Keep Eating blue apron. Blue.
Sergeant Blue, button blue.
Yep. And this is $25. This is my biggest seller. So if you want any of these things, please reach out to me. You can email us at What's the Story with Maria at Gmail. And there's an order form that Leo will hook you up with, and then you can order, and you can use Venmo if you like, or whatever you need. And then I'll ship it out to you right away. So what?
If we rehearsed that a little bit more, we could be like airline stewardesses with the apron. And
you know what, Leo? We're going to have to do that. We're definitely going to have to do that. So now everybody knows what Leo Rodriguez looks like. He is our accidental stage manager now. And Leo, I can't thank you enough.
I'm going to run up to the control room then.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, honey bunny. And we're going to bring in my sweet friend Peter Feliciano any minute. And I'm going to talk to him and celebrate him. Okay. Oh, my God. There he is. There he is in all his handsomeness. Peter Feliciano, you are let me tell you something. I always say Peter is the hottest of the hot. It doesn't get any hotter than Pete Feliciano. All right, honey. So thank you for joining me and from your beautiful Joe Cangelosi Designs kitchen, right? Gorgeous. Now, Peter, tell us. Okay, so you were in the Marine. You are a Marine.
Yes, I am a Marine. Okay. They never say you're retired. It means you got more time. You've done 20 years in the Marine or 20 years in service. So, but once a Marine, always a Marine. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine. Once you're a Marine, you're a Marine for life. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard from other Marines. Now, Peter, you were telling me earlier that you were really young when you joined, right? This young man in a beautiful dress blue uniform came to my high school, and once I saw those, I'm going to be very honest. Once I saw those blues, I was 17 years old, and I saw those blues. All I could think about was how many girls I can get when I wear that uniform. I mean, I thought that was the best looking uniform out of all the branches. Oh my God! I was 17. I couldn't sign up yet. My parents had to sign me, and I had to wait till I was 18, which was December 3rd, which is coming up. I want to be the big 5-0. Wow. So yeah, it's coming up, and then I joined, signed up, and I joined. It was the best decision of my life. Now let me ask you something. Were you ever scared when? Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, that's. Thank you for being honest. Yeah, I was scared every single day. It's easy to want to do something, but I never had anyone tell me what to expect. I thought it was an easy thing. Hey, you go, you work out, blah, 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 you run, no, nothing. It was a culture shock. It was like, we were up 24, 48 hours. The first moment we got there, we didn't sleep like 48 hours. Wow. Now, you still work out, though, Peter. You work out religiously. Honestly, I took some time off. During COVID, it's different. No, during COVID, I was up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the Brooklyn Bridge, on the Manhattan Bridge, running, doing my exercise that I could outside. But in winter time, I hibernate. So I haven't been out to the gym in like about a month.
Well, I think nobody has. Now let's take a minute. Let's take a minute to acknowledge this gorgeous handsomeness. So Pete, that is you. How old were you in that picture?
And actually, the one on top is the one that doesn't dress blue. It looks dark there. It's a picture of a picture. I was 18 years old. I just turned 18. I went to boot camp in February of '89. Even though it was '89, I only turned 19. So then, yeah, I just turned 18, and I just have I think it was a cavity or something. I just came from the dentist that day. I can see it, but my mouth was a bit swollen. But I just turned 18. That was March of 1989.
Wow. And then that's beautiful. That is, oh my God, look at you. This is what Pete's a hottie. Pete's a hottie, and he works out. Now, did you used to work out before you joined the Marines, or would you say that what you were doing?
Not really.
Okay.
I was just young, and you didn't have to work out when you were young. You just, listen. That's if I show you other pictures, but when the first picture you saw, I was 170 pounds. Now about 230, 235. So, it's total night and day. But now I do the weights. Honestly, back then, all I did was whatever the Marine Corps was exercise every single morning at 5:30. That's every single morning. 5:30, we're working out. And then we go to work, and then we go back home.
But you still are an early riser, because I see your posts. You're up in the morning.
I love early. I can. To me, I feel like if I don't, that's work for me. The workout is considered, for me, it's actual work. Once I get that done, the whole day is a cakewalk.
Really? Okay.
Yes. But I love the morning. There's nobody around. Even though what we're going through now, even before that, I just love the quietness. You can almost hear you can hear the city sleep and relax, and it's a different vibe.
Yeah. Now, Peter, go ahead, Leo. What were we going to say?
I got to clarify. Did you say your birthday was December 3rd?
Wait, that's your birthday.
Leo, don't say your birthday December 3rd. I'm a year older than you, and my favorite time of the morning where I live or any place is the quiet of the morning. Yes.
So I
used to work in New York, and I worked the overnights. And at the time that I would leave the hotel at 6:45 on a Sunday morning, it was the quietest time in Manhattan in the world. And that just is freaking me out that we like the same thing.
Wait, you guys have the same birthday? That's crazy. We're going to have a big celebration.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. And two Sagittariuses. I love that sign.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
That's a great sign. Now, Peter, you are Puerto Rican, right?
Yes.
Okay. I read this somewhere once that there are a tremendous amount of, in the military, a tremendous amount of Puerto Rican representatives. Is that true?
Yeah. There was a platoon, actually, Obama gave them, and I wanted to do my research for it so bad. I got to go to work. No, there was Obama actually gave them the gold medal or something. I forgot it was. There was an old Puerto Rican platoon from Puerto Rico in.
I remember the ceremony because
I'm not sure which one I'm paraphrasing. I'm not sure, but I know when he was the president, he gave them. They are called the Borinqueneers. There was an old Puerto Rican troop, and actually, I think Eisenhower, I want to say, he said, if I had an army of this platoon, we'll win this war easily.
Wow.
Actually, my great uncle was actually part of the, which you had no idea brought that up. I had no idea you could ask that question, but my great uncle was part of the Borinqueneers.
Wow.
I found that out when I was in Puerto Rico for a family reunion. I didn't know that.
Isn't that amazing? I think about that all the time because, I mean, when I talk to a lot of people in the military, they say that Puerto Rico was so intricate in helping with so many things. Yes. So, all right. You have been out. How long have you been out, of active duty?
I've been out. I got out of the, I was out 89, so I got out early because I sold some vacation days. So I was out from 89 to 9. I got out like December 92.
Okay.
Almost 4 years, but I had like 90 days So instead of me using them, I sold them back, and I got out like about a month and a half, 2 months earlier.
Now, but you said to me that once a Marine, always a Marine, right?
Always, forever. I look at my shirt here.
I love it.
It says I'm gonna. It stands for something. It's Simplify, which is our motto. SF is Simplify, which is always faithful, Latin, Simple Fidelis, and MF, use your imagination. So we would say in the Marine Corps, Simplify, MF.
Right. I love it. I love it.
But Simplify is like our motto.
Yeah, always faithful, always loyal. Well, I can't.
Marines, it's. I'm sure every branch is the same, but I can speak only on my branch.
Yeah.
It's very hard. I wanted to quit. There's no way any Marine didn't want to quit when they were boot camp. You wanted to quit. I wanted to quit so bad. The only reason I didn't quit because I told everyone where I lived. I'm going to Marines, and if I didn't come back with that uniform, I know I was going to be labeled loser. So I had no choice but to suck it up and get that uniform.
You had to follow through. I love that, though. When you tell someone you're going to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull in some other people, but, stick around, because then when we'll bring you all in together. This is what I love about this new format. It's so cool. All right, so stick around, Peter. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us. I'm so happy you're here. All right, Leo, what do you got for us? Oh, my God, it's Joseph Brennan.
It is. Oh, my God.
So my friend Joe Brennan, who is out in Long Island, we've been friends a long time. I'm friends with Joe's wife is Lynn Portis, genius. And we've been friends many, many, many years. And you know, Joe, when I think of the military and veterans, you're one of the first people I think of because of your dad and the stories that you've told me about your dad that just are so amazing, of the way things used to be and the kind of guys or girls that used to join and what it meant to our country. So this is a picture of
my dad.
Yeah, that's a picture of your dad, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about this picture.
I want to say that this is probably during Korea, because by the name of the ship.
Okay.
That's not the ship he was on in the Navy.
And, your dad was in the Navy, and you told me that he joined really young, right?
Yeah, so he's a native New Yorker. He was born in a basement on Perry Street, and he was, I think just about 16 at the time of Pearl Harbor. And he joined on his 17th birthday. His parents, my grandfather signed him in at 17, and he actually went into active duty when he was 17 years old into the Navy.
Joe, from what he told you, was he because of Pearl Harbor, was he drawn to go in and defend the country? Is that what it was, or was it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All his, everybody you knew, all your family, everybody went. He was just too young at the time, so he was gone on his 17th birthday.
Wow!
And he ended up on an oil tanker as a gunner's mate, and in the North Atlantic was where he started World War II.
Wow!
And after the tide sort of turned in Europe, then he spent the second half of the war in the South Pacific.
That's amazing. Okay, so now, but you said, we were talking earlier, and you said that you remember your dad. I mean, you loved his stories that he told, and he would go out for like 6 months, and then he would come home, right? For 6 months.
Yeah. So after World War II, and he came home, and then he joined the Merchant Marine. He was a navigator during Korea, so he would make trips every 6 months back and forth to Australia.
Wow!
Because Australia was kind of the supply depot for Korea and Vietnam, so he would do supply runs from New York to Korea, to Australia, to get supplies there for staging for Korea, and he did that all through the Korean War, and then he did it through most of Vietnam. So towards the tail end of the Vietnam War, I was about 5 or 6 years old. So I remember him leaving for 6 months and then coming back on the ship after 6 months.
And that must have been so hard as a kid. do you remember? Do you remember? Would he come home and would it take him a while to kind of decompress and like kind of be present again, or was he the? That must have been difficult, because I see that all the time on that parents have to go and do that and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he had it wasn't a lot of anxiety. There was, if you were in like a war zone, I think he dealt with a lot more of that in World War II. Which funny, I never heard him speak about until he was in his late 80s. Did he actually even speak about sort of the pressure and that he felt while he was in World War II?
Yeah, what's amazing about these guys and girls they hold, you can just imagine what they're holding, these stories. And I know your dad was an amazing storyteller, because Lynn and you have told me all these stories. Like, they really, when I picture like military people, I picture them literally carrying like the country on their back.
Yeah, and it's they say for every person on the front lines, there are 10 people standing behind them, right, that are in a non-combat role. So he did a lot of convoy work in the North Atlantic, which was pretty harrowing, and he had, crazy stories. The way they get the gas line from one ship to the other is they take a string with a shotgun shell and they shoot it at the other ship. And then they catch the string, and then the string pulls a rope, and the rope pulls a cable, and then the cable eventually pulls the gas line. And that's how they get the gas into the other ship.
Now, you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this kind of stuff must really fascinate you, right? Because
yeah, well, he explains it, and it makes a lot of sense, And I think they still do it that way today. There's not any other real way to get that line from one ship to the other.
Was your dad? Did your dad have like an engineer's mind as well as? I know you do.
Yes, he had a very analytical mind. That's why he ended up being a navigator.
Wow.
He was a navigator and a first mate, through Korea and through Vietnam. So he had a very mathematical mind, which got you a little crazy as a kid when you were driving to Florida and he was logging every mile you went and how long each state went, how many miles you got miles per gallon you got in the state of Georgia, and how many miles it was to the Florida state line. It got a little crazy when I drove him back and forth to Florida for 10 to 15 years.
Wow. But you know what? That's it. And your son Andrew is also an engineer. Is that correct?
Yeah. So is John.
John too.
John's on a tugboat. Yeah, John's on a tugboat. So he kind of followed the legacy.
Wow. So your kids really, your dad really, because I've talked to them all separately over the years about your dad, and they all have the most amazing stories.
Yeah.
And how Jackie always tells a story of how even when he was really, he was in his 80s and he would swim every day, right? He would go swimming.
Yeah. He would swim. He swam every day when he was in Florida. When we were in New Hampshire, he used to swim across the lake every day and swim across the lake and back.
Isn't that amazing? It's kind of like what Pete was saying, like the stuff that you learn when you're in the service, you don't ever let go of that, really.
Yeah.
No,
I mean he saw a lot of wild things. He's trying to fuel another ship, like a cruiser that would protect the fleet. They could only go down to like I think a half a tank of gas or 3/4, so they would have to fuel these things constantly. And he had occasion on rough seas where he actually had a destroyer come up on a big wave and land on top of his oil tanker and then scrape off and go back off the side of it.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But yeah. He loved that part of his life. As difficult as it was, he really loved. He was very proud of it.
Yeah, no, he really did enjoyed it. I think, especially when he was out of harm's way, it was a lot more enjoyable. But he saw a lot of action. I have pieces of a plane he shot down.
Wow.
He shot down a kamikaze, so I have pieces of that plane.
Can you tell that story about the shrapnel, please, in the leg?
Oh yeah, so his battle station were these anti-aircraft guns, and they were getting attacked, and I guess the gun heated up or the gun jammed, and the shell casing exploded outside of the breech of the gun or before the breech was closed. So he was covered in shrapnel all of his thighs and his stomach. And I guess he was probably in his late 70s or his 80s. He told me, "Oh, I have a splinter in my leg." You know, we were in New Hampshire, and he thought he got it from the dock. And he goes, I could feel it with my finger, and I grabbed it, and I pulled it out, and it was a sliver of brass.
It was still left over from all
World
those
War
years.
II, yeah.
That's
He said, you know, when there's that much going on, he's like, they only take out the big pieces and, you know, get rid of stop the bleeding. So he said they're not going to worry about that. They're not looking for all the little teeny tiny pieces. They'll just cauterize. They were so hot when it went in. He said it cauterized the wound anyway.
Oh my
so it's
God.
not there for 50 years.
Oh.
I have the pants that he got wounded in. He kept them.
Wow.
So he had a pair of jeans, and you can see all these holes all across the thighs where he got where the blast hit him.
Let me tell you that the kind of stuff that people think they're tough, and then you hear these stories, and it's like, we're not tough at all. Like, this is an amazing story. Okay, what I want you to do, Joe, is hang out. Leo's going to pop you backstage again. We're going to bring Leah in. I'm sorry, Leah is my niece. Lina in, and Lina's dad was also in the Navy. So we're going to bring her in, and then when I'll bring you guys all back in together, okay? Can you hang out, Joe? All right. So that was Joe. So you can hang out for a while, Joe? Just backstage? Okay,
Can you
great.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, honey. All right, so that was Joe Brennan talking about his dad, also named Joe. Leo, how you doing? Leo!
I'm doing fine. I can't believe she's here. Are you ready for her?
I've been ready since, I woke up. I'm like, everybody's clamoring. Lina Kourtrakos. How'd you get Lina Kourtrakos? How did you get Lina Kourtrakos? Lina!
Hi, honey.
Hi, honey. I'm so glad you're here. You know Leo, right?
Wait, no. First of all I know is you screaming his name. It is so nice to meet you, Leo.
Finally, right? Face to face. But
Lina,
you had my heart for so long, just watching you go through what you were going through. And I love your anger.
Oh, yeah, she's Greek. She's Greek.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen you before.
I'm the Greek Maria.
Listen, it's so funny. Everybody, when we were in Tony and Tina's together, because that's how we met, everybody thought we were sisters. I always get asked, you know Lina? And Lina, yeah. But anyway, well, I'm very flattered. So Lina, thank you for being on the show, honey. I'm so glad you're here. And so as you know, it's our tribute to our vets, and I have always loved your stories about your dad, and I love when you post pictures of. You call him the captain still, right? You always, when you refer to your dad, you call him the captain.
The captain, right.
Okay, so I think Leo's going to pull up some pictures in a minute. But so was your dad born in Greece or was he born here?
No, he was born here, first generation here. There he is on the left.
The left, okay.
He's saluting his friend who's a Marine.
Okay, like Peter Feliciano, our friend today.
Exactly, there they are, they're pals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Peter was saying, that the Marines and the Navy, they were just, they were like on that same team.
Yeah, we were stationed a lot on Marine Corps bases.
Okay.
When my dad was born here. His parents were both from Greece. They came over. They had him. So he's first generation here. And, all he ever wanted to do, I think, was he wanted to be a pilot. And then when he tried to do that, when he was in his late teens, he wore glasses. Yeah. So they said no. And he was like, well, I'm going into something. So he became a career naval officer. He went in as a sailor, came out for 2 minutes, and went back in as an officer.
Yeah, hi, there he is. Look how handsome. Oh, my God. I just love, I know this is a cliche, but if I see a uniform, I just think it's the most amazing thing.
Me too.
It's just,
me too.
It's the most beautiful, honorable thing. And so, now, Lina, what I want you to talk about, because I remember these stories from when we used to work together. You used to say that you were a Navy brat, right?
Yeah.
And tell everybody what that means.
A Navy brat is the kids of career military officers. And for me, what that meant is, every 2 years, we would get our orders. Notice I'm saying we. Yeah. It was my father's job, but it was the whole nuclear family we served, ladies and gentlemen. My little sister and I served for 20 years.
Mary.
We would move every 2 years. We'd sit around the table, and he'd open that envelope and read the orders, and it was thrilling. It was thrilling because it's the only thing I knew. So every 2 years, a different state and or country, and off we'd go and meet new people and cry to say goodbye to other people, and it was an adventure.
And what now? You know what's amazing, because I'm such a creature of habit, that when I hear we gotta go, because we moved a lot too, believe it or not, because my parents were working harder and able to afford different things from where we lived, and so we would go to better school systems and things like that. But it was so difficult. So when I hear you say we'd open that envelope and we were thrilled, I guess you get used to that way of life, right?
I didn't know anything else. We were born into it. He was in the career military when I got here, so we moved. I was born in New York, and I think I lived here for 3 days, and then we were gone.
And where are some of the places that you lived, honey?
Where I'm trying to buy a house right now, which I think is so funny. I won a little bitty house in Beaufort, South Carolina, because my dad was stationed with the Marines on Parris Island when I was a little kid. And you know this, I won Little Miss South Carolina when I was 4 years old there. So I need to go back and reclaim my crown.
I love it.
I love living on bases and being around uniforms. That's what feels like home.
Yeah.
Since we didn't have a hometown. So Virginia Beach, Quantico, Virginia. I sold the most Girl Scout cookies in the 7th grade because I decided that I was going to take what do you call those fold-out card tables that our parents used to have, right? I decided to take a card table and my Girl Scout cookies, and I walked, just obnoxiously like I am, I walked into FBI headquarters in Quantico, Virginia. It was down the street from my house on base. Someone in and said, "Can I sell my cookies here after school?" And I guess nobody had done it before, and I kicked ass.
I bet you did.
Thank you, the Marines and the FBI.
Well, who's going to say no to it? The captain's daughter.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I don't think that would have been a good thing for them to do. So good for you. So you tell me some of the places you were stationed.
Naples, Italy, which was, of course, my favorite because my parents were like, I was like 13, 14. I am coming of age, and they picked Naples as the backdrop for my hormones. What's incredible?
What a great way to put it.
We sat around the table, though, and that was one of those ones where he said, "Okay, you guys, in spring," he said, "we've got choices. I can go to Vietnam, and that means I'll send you guys back to his biological family's hometown, which is New York." He said, "I'll send the three of you, your mom and you two, back to New York. I'll go to Vietnam." We didn't want that. It was in 69, 70.
Yeah.
And then or Guam, or Naples, Italy. And we were like, oh God. And 3 months later he came, we sat down at the table, and he was ready, and we were like, and he was like, "We're going to Italy." We were like,
wow.
Yeah, Wiesbaden, Germany, half a year. He was on a ship, an aircraft carrier, and where he was stationed was the Mediterranean, so he moved us to Athens so we could be, with our family, and he could stop by and see us more often.
Okay, and you speak Greek, right?
I do.
So that must have been wonderful.
It's fantastic.
Wow, yeah. I love that. That's such an amazing part of your story and your history. That you just were always, floating around, and that you were okay with it.
But you want to know what else? I think that's the reason why I was able to improv when you and me were in Tony and Tina's. I'd never done anything like that before. I'm a singer, not necessarily an actor. And I think that the reason...
You were great, though, Lina. I would never have known that. But, yeah.
I think I got on board because every 2 years I had to be something. And here we go.
Here we go.
And here we go. And sometimes we were on military bases, which was cool. Oh, there's me.
There she is.
Yes. we were on bases, so we were all brats, and we all got it in our shorthand that this is how our life goes.
Yeah.
But sometimes we would get stationed, and we would live where the civilian people lived, who were all in school with each other their whole lives. And then Mary, my sister, and I would go in there, and I had to make friends really fast, or I'd be alone for 2 years, which is another reason I think I'm just so.
Yeah,
okay, here you go.
You know what? I think you're right, and that makes total sense. You had to, because you're incredibly sociable, and you do make friends everywhere, and you have a huge circle of friends in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
So that would make total sense. Wow, those are such great stories. All right, I know, and I love it. See, I love this. Is like tonight's show to me is like a mosaic. It's like all these pieces that are just come together from different parts of the world and stories. And okay, so stay there for a minute. We're going to bring everybody back on, Leo, if you could. This is Peter, by the way, Lina. Lina, this is Peter was a Marine.
How you doing, Lina?
Hi, Peter.
And you know Joe Brennan.
My first wife was a military brat.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
She was. When I was stationed in Okinawa, her father was in the Air Force. She was living on Kadena Air Force Base. Yeah. She was 16 and I was 18, and I always got in trouble because I'm considered an adult and she's still considered a minor. But we're only 2 years apart. I almost got serious trouble.
Well, I mean, that's how things go. I'm telling you. These are great. Okay, so if everybody can stay right there, we're going to do the food section of our show. I have to do the food section of our show. In order to stay creative, even in COVID, I keep cooking. So now you're going to do this with me. We're on 3. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to go ahead. This section of our show is called Go Ahead, Keep Eating. So 1, 2, 3. The section of our show is called Go Ahead, Keep Eating. Thank you, gang. So tonight, what did I make? I made a delicious shrimp in garlic butter with pesto. I have, delicious red peppers and scallions and a little bit of marsala wine. That is there. So if you were here, we would, before COVID, everybody used to come to the apartment. Lina knows, she was here. And for my salad tonight, for a nice fall salad, I made red leaf lettuce with cucumbers, pears, Boss pears, and gorgonzola cheese. I'm trying to bring the world in here.
Very nice.
Thank you, Joe. And I'm going to put a little sesame-infused oil and pear-infused vinegar. That's going to be a delicious. I wish I could share. I feel terrible. Now, for tonight, I have, and you know what? I got to say, this was kind of inspired by the captain's uniform. Lina. The stripe and the white. That beautiful white. These are white fudge dipped Oreos. So there you go. The captain inspired those. All right, and that is our food section of the show. Now, Leo, can you pop in as well, or is that too many people? Let me see. Leo's dad was in the Army. Did you find that picture of your dad?
I did find that picture of my dad.
Okay, so Leo, why don't you tell us a little bit about your dad and his experience?
See that?
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, there he is.
He is right here. Can you see the mouse?
Yeah.
That's my dad on the way to Vietnam.
Wow.
Back in, I think this was 67. As a matter of fact, my dad got married. I believe he got married, had the reception, and then off he went.
Yeah.
They did that a lot. A lot of people got married because they will also get more money.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that part. My parents
we would get more money. Just wait till I tell my mom that. Well, no, I mean, they would just speed up the process because once he's going to Vietnam, the odds are against him. He wants to get married, have life insurance. It's a lot of things in that.
A lot of details.
Reading,
Joe, your dad was married pretty young, right?
Yeah, but after World War II.
Okay.
I want to say he was married in, I want to say 55.
Yeah, what a
1955. I'm guessing, so it was during the Korea.
wow. A lot of these, it's just, and then off you go.
Yeah.
Do you folks remember? I mean, if you can describe a little bit for the average, like I am not from a military family. I have a deep love. Actually, my dad was in the Italian military, the Carabinieri, but it was before I was born. And then he came to, but he's the one who really like lit that fire in my niece to join the Air Force. She always wanted to. I was telling Pete earlier that she wore camouflage as a kid, always. It was like the craziest thing. Like if you wanted to make her happy, you bought her something that had camouflage. And it was this crazy obsession she had. But it was my dad that was like, listen, why don't you just join, and she picked the Air Force. But, was there something that you were, Pete, you said you were drawn to it, and Lina and Joe, you both said that your dads were young when they joined.
Yeah.
Now, did your mothers come from military backgrounds as well?
All my aunts, all my uncles were in. My mother's one of 7. All my uncles were in. So back in the 40s, everybody was in.
Right.
So all her brothers were in different branches of the service.
And so they knew that life, and they knew what to expect. And Lina,
yeah, exactly.
how about your mom, Lina?
Not at all. She grew up in Jamaica, Queens. She knew my father. They were both first-generation Greek kids. And she was a little homebody and loved being a military wife.
She did.
Never wanted to come home. Friggin' loved it. No,
really?
She fabulous dinner parties and all these naval galas, and she found herself in that whole life. She loved it.
That's so great.
Yeah, I think that's why we liked it so much too.
Yeah.
It was just an adventure for us. When my father died and I did his eulogy, it was a big deal about him being in the Navy because that was his whole thing. If you asked my father to describe himself, he would say to me when he wanted to kick my butt when I was in high school, 3 things that matter to me: God, family, and country, and not in that order. And I was like, oh, Dad, stop being a military dude. I don't care. I just want to smoke some pot. Leave me alone.
What's that line from The Breakfast Club? My dad and your dad should get together and go bowling.
My father was just a military man his whole life.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's funny now, what's going on, is all the politics and people saying, well, your father was in the Navy, so he must have been this or he must have been that. We had rules that were unspoken that I thought everybody had when we were kids. We didn't talk about politics because whoever was in the White House was my father's immediate boss. And we didn't do that. It's so fun. A lot of my young life was him stationed at Walter Reed Hospital, my father, during the Vietnam War. He was at Bethesda, Walter Reed, and all that. So we never got to talk like that. Yeah, so here I mouth off on Facebook all the time politically, and I can hear my father going, what are you doing? Knock that off.
I think this is a different situation, though. I really do.
I have something very important to say.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Lina. Isn't Joe the best? Joe's the best.
Yeah. How many of you? I grew up singing the national anthem at almost every Veterans Day ceremony because my dad ended up working for a city, and his dad was in the military. My mom's dad was in the military, and when my grandpa died, my dad was so emotional that he made me read the parts of the eulogy that they give for the military. I don't know how. I don't know. I didn't even sing for that funeral because when I sang for my grandmother, that was a mess. But my dad said, "Here, you read this," and I ended up reading it for my grandfather's funeral. And like the second one, I was like, "Oh my God!" There was any projection whatsoever. And even my birth grandfather was in the World War II.
I think the gift of being patriotic you can't get from any place else. You know what I mean? It's so funny when, are you American? Yes, I'm American. I'm. Am I political? No, I'm patriotic as hell.
That's how. You know what's it's funny because I really wanted to focus on that, and I said it to Leo earlier. I said because it was the same way when I was growing up. You didn't know who the Republicans. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Our families were so happy to be here and so proud to be Americans. Like my mother used to run around and say, on Thanksgiving was her favorite holiday, and she'd dress like a pilgrim. She made the dress herself, and she'd say, today I am a pilgrim. And my father would say, there are no Italian pilgrims. She said, today I am a pilgrim. She was so serious about being an American citizen. And so, but we didn't know. It's so different now. We didn't know who was Republican, who was Democrat. We just knew that you loved your country and you saluted the flag and you were proud. You were so proud of that. And thinking about the three of you and Leo, and I got that patriotism in your blood, and I have that, even though I really don't come from American military, but I mean, really, they kissed the ground they walked on. And I really, really want to get back to that. And I think we have a chance. Like Joe, I love the stories that you've told about your dad and like how much he loved this country, and he would do.
Yeah, he was very passionate about it. I mean, but he passed away. He didn't have to see the worst of this.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a political person like that at all. And I think really what it is before you had bigger things to fear. You had the whole country was worried about communism. You were worried about big shit. You were worried about getting your ass kicked. And now it's almost like we think we're such badasses. We don't have to worry about anybody else, so we can feel free to be assholes to each other because we don't really have a common enemy that we truly fear. You got it back a little bit at 9/11, and then it waned away, and we turned into this mess that we're in right now.
Right.
I don't think everybody remembers that the most important part, I think that everybody, even if they were drafted, they had a sense of protection. They were going to protect us. They were protectors. And the idea that when they throw the politics in there, it's more like taking as opposed to going out and protecting the ideals that it's the only reason why we're here now in 2020, whatever the year has been. All these kids, you gotta understand, a lot of these people in the military, the majority of them are kids. They're 17, like Joe said, his dad was 17. I had to have my parents sign in 17, 18. We're still kids. We're going into this not knowing what's on the other end, but we swore in and said, listen, I'm going to do this, sign my contract for 4 years. But you go in, a lot of people, you have a military family, that their fathers and fathers. My father didn't go in, but I went in because I wanted to do something. I wanted to be part of something, especially for the country that I love.
Right. Well, my father always said you can only get an 18-year-old to charge a machine gun and tell him that he's going to kill the guy who's firing a machine gun at him. That's the only thing that Marine boot camp makes you feel invincible and makes you crazy enough to do shit like that.
And Joe,
only an 18-year-old to do it. No 40-year-old's going to do it.
Your story about your dad with the conflict, I know the feeling of because his barrel got so hot that the chambers couldn't go through anymore. Yeah. So when they popped out, and some of them, like you said, they burst. Yeah, I had a shell go down my uniform one time. It wasn't a good feel.
You're burning hot.
Peter, where'd you go to boot camp? I
heard what you said. Paris Island.
I love it there.
Home of the Sam, please.
Wow.
Listen, Peter, I was Little Miss Buford, but I was way before your time.
I was teasing when you were saying all these things.
I went to nursery school on base.
No way. I'm dying to go back.
I just love it there. It's beautiful.
Wow. So, Lina, let me ask you, what was school like? Did you have, was there a military school? It was just all your military friends, kids, were together?
It depends. When I lived on base, like in Quantico, Virginia, or I went to base school in Paris Island. There was also a place on Long Island in Nassau County. It's where Charles Lindbergh took off from. Mitchell Field? Well, Joe, you know.
It's Roosevelt Field.
Right.
Where the shopping mall is now.
Exactly, and I lived in that.
There's still barracks next to it, but it's all shopping mall.
I lived in one of those barracks for years.
Oh, wow.
And my father worked at Brooklyn Navy Yard. So, but when we went to civilian schools, when I lived in Italy, we absolutely went to a military and ambassador kid school because we had to be taught in English. So we went to a...
Right.
Now, Lina, did you have any entertainment? I worked for a company called Missoula Children's Theater Company, and we would travel around from base to base, a lot of the time from base to base, overseas as well as
I love it.
Southwest. And we would be there for a week teaching the military kids a theater show in the week. And we would do the show, perform in the weekend, and then we go pack up, go to the next base. I spent a lot of time in New Mexico and Arizona.
I'm probably too old. I hadn't started by then because if a troop had come in and I saw it, I would have packed my bags and gone with them. I would have left.
They knew better than to do that. Listen, the captain probably arranged it, so they didn't come in.
Maria, can you say that you're also on AFN?
Who?
The radio, Maria.
It's called Armed, like Armed Radio. And if you want,
is it not a military?
Well, they a lot of the listeners, like this show goes to 66 countries. I had a friend of mine was in the Army, and he was in charge of, I want to say it was AFN. I want to say it was Armed or AA, Armed Air Force Network.
Radio or Armed Forces Network.
Yeah, and I was in Okinawa, and he was like the DJ. We only have one station on the island.
Wow.
So Robin Williams.
Yeah, Good Morning Vietnam.
And we have one English channel, and it was on they had tapes, and believe it or not, the Marines at lunchtime, it was General Hospital, and we were all glued to the TV till the 1 o'clock, and then we all went to our job. General Hospital every single day. That's great. And you did it together. You watched it together. Yes, we all in the rec room watching General Hospital. Oh my God. Well,
my father used to listen to Tokyo Rose. That was a propaganda station that they used to broadcast at the ships and the occupied islands.
Wow.
Tokyo Rose. Yeah, that was Korea, right?
No, that was
World War II.
That's fascinating. This is fascinating. So I do want to tell everybody that this show it goes into podcast in about 12 hours, and you can find it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker. So if you go to any of those and type in What's the Story with Maria, the name of the show is Honoring Our Vets. So you'll see it, it'll pop up, and then you can listen to it as well. So what Pete was asking, this is Armed Radio. You can stream it, armeddigitalmedia.com, armedradioglobal.com. If you have your TuneIn app, just type in Armed Radio, it'll pop up. But it's really cool in podcast too. And now we're doing this new format with the StreamYard, which I love. And Leo, I mean, we got to give it up for Leo Rodriguez.
Yeah, good job. The audio is great.
Yeah.
The audio is really good.
It's really good.
I really like the format.
Yeah, and Jimmy, how much time do we have? Jimmy's our engineer. He's in New Hampshire, so he's running the show from there for the radio show.
You got about 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, good. 4 or 5 minutes. So what would you say is, as a military person, whether family or directly, and would you say is the thing that is embedded in you, and no matter where you live, where you go, it's just like, that is in my blood. What would you say, Joe, for you, what is it?
I guess it would have to be like honor and truth. And my kids will tell me the same thing. They'll be like, you can do anything. You can go to dad. You can tell him anything happened, and he's going to deal with it. They're like, but if you lie to him, you're fucking dead. And I think I got that from my father. Like, you better be a straight shooter. Like my kids, you can total a car, whatever. I catch you lying, it's 10 times worse than anything you did. So I think it's a lot of honesty, integrity is really what I feel like I am.
Yeah, Leo, how about you?
I think a lot about the people that come back from war and what they've seen and how they deal with it, and knowing that my grandfathers and my dad, up until recently when you had to talk about it, that there's some horrific things that our servicemen go out there for. And so I always thought about thank you. I know you didn't have to, and respect, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of crushes.
Yeah. Lina, how about, what do you think?
It's my father and the military for me. It's a shitload of integrity.
Yeah.
Integrity.
Integrity.
Standing up.
Yeah.
Doing the right thing. Respect and honor.
Yeah.
Honor.
And remembering it afterwards when they come home.
I got goosebumps.
It all matters so much.
Peter, what do you think, honey?
It changes your life. If it's a purpose. Sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. You want to do something, but also at a young age, you get to learn. You understand? For a Marine, they break you down. Like, I had no idea what's going on. I didn't know what was up, what was down. If I did it right, it was wrong. If I did it wrong, it was wrong. It was like, what's going on? And then they make you, and then in 3.5 months, you're like, who is this person? And then you keep learning and learning. But it's also it's a time as a kid where you could adventure a little bit. Take 4 years out and say, hey, let me try something different. And also to grow. To me, it is far beyond the best thing I've did in my life was going to the military.
I love this.
It changes you. It changes you.
All right, we're going to end on that. I want to thank Leo Rodriguez, our stage manager, Lina Kourtrakos, LinaSings.com, Joe Brennan. Thank you, Joe, for being here, and my friend Peter. All of you are my friends, and I love you, Peter Feliciano. We want to thank our people out there. Thank you so much. God bless you, and let's hear it for our troops. God bless our troops. Always. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Marianne.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.